Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Shari Woodbury, the church's settled minister. Whether you are attending here in the sanctuary or online, I'm glad you've decided to participate today. From the Latin, worship means to remember that which is of worth. And so we gather each week in community to remember our highest values. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It is a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration, as you'll hear today, and we share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, I hope you'll feel fully welcome to bring your whole self into this space. If you're joining us online, I encourage you to create a YouTube account and sign in when you join that way. This will allow you to participate in the comments, including for joys and concerns. You can also subscribe to our channel and share videos you like with others. For those who are here in person, you're invited after the service to go downstairs to the common room, that's out those doors in this way or down and around this way, for coffee and conversation. Meanwhile, if you are logged into church Wi-Fi and don't need to be, please put your phone on airplane mode during the service. I have a few announcements. Due to the Super Bowl, the Fiber Arts Group is not going to be meeting tonight. Our annual chili cook-off has returned. Get ready to consume some great meat and vegetarian chilies and vote for the congregation's best chili cooker. Free cornbread is included, and there will be a cash bar. It's this Saturday, February 18th, coming up at 6 o'clock downstairs in the common room. If you want to know more about that or sign up to help, you can see Carolyn McNamara at the cook-off table after the service. That's down in the common room. The deadline for entering our YRUU Youth Group Talent Show has been extended to this Friday, February 17th. Performers and artists of all ages are welcome to enter. Tables will be set up for visual art, like paintings and sculptures, and performances can be done either live or through video submission. You can find the sign-up link in your church e-news from last Friday, or email dre@firstuuomaha.org with any questions. Also coming up this week for our renewal as a GLBTQ welcoming congregation, we're co-hosting with Second Unitarian an event about Marsha P. Johnson, an important queer activist and trans woman in queer liberation. This film and discussion will be held at Second Unitarian, and advanced registration is appreciated. And lastly, our nominations team is still gathering nominations both for church leadership positions as well as awards that we give out to show our appreciation to wonderful volunteers in our annual meeting. So you can do that online, or if you prefer paper, we've got some hard copies out in the foyer by the screen out there. To find out what else is going on this week, you can use the QR code or links in your program, or grab a printed e-news in the foyer. It's appropriate to acknowledge that where we meet for worship as the First Unitarian Church of Omaha is on the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Oto-Missouri tribal nations, whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We'd also like to express our respect to the Ponca tribe of Nebraska, the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, the Santee Sioux tribe of Nebraska, and over 170 other tribes represented within the Omaha area. And now a special prelude by guest violinist Emily Schultz. Great job, Emily, thank you. We come from the cosmos, from star stuff, primordial energy, the information in the fullness of the void. We are earth beings, quantum galaxies on two legs, exquisitely interdependent with our blue-green home, caring and cooperating with other creatures. We are evolving to higher levels of awareness, beyond me and mine, to we and ours and all that is. Love, once separated out of the plenum, now reconnecting in corporeal form and remerging in mind. This morning, Donna Neff will light the flaming chalice. Our lovely chalice here representing the land on which we worship. Will you join me in the chalice lighting words? Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. I invite you to rise and join in our theme song for this winter worship series that concludes today. It's number 1003 in the Teal hymnal, Where Did We Come From? And Judy's going to give us a little direction to do this as a round. we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? You may be seated. And I invite the children forward for a time for all ages. I'm going to share it with you this morning, actually.
Hey, guys, if it's a problem, it goes back on my paper. Sit.
All right. Yes, as you can see, this book is called I Am One, a Book of Action by Susan Verde, and the beautiful pictures are by Peter Reynolds. Do you notice what the child in the picture is holding on the front of the book? You see? Yeah. A candle. Okay, let's watch where that candle appears again in the story. How do I make a difference? It seems like a tall order for one so small. Do you ever feel small? I do sometimes. But beautiful things start with just one. What's in her hand now? Or his, I'm not sure. Y'all can call out too out there. What do you see in the child's hand? A bird. One seed to start a garden. The bird moved. One stroke to start a masterpiece. One note to start a melody. The bird's singing. One step to start a journey. Ooh, do you notice what's at the end of that path? It's got bricks in it. A village border, yeah, some kind of border or wall. One brick to start breaking down walls. And I can speak one gentle word to start a conversation. I can use my one soft voice to start a friendship. There was someone on the other side of that wall. I can perform one act of kindness to start a connection. Do you notice anything in this picture? Yeah. She's feeding the dog. That's an act of kindness, isn't it? Anything else? Something she had at the very beginning, I see in that picture. I can share one tender hug to start caring. I can light one candle to start leading the way. What's in that little wagon she's pulling? Can you tell what that is? Yeah. Bricks. Oh, that's what happened to the bricks. I can make one drop in the water to start ripples that become swells and then waves. Traveling over oceans, across borders and boundaries. Landing on distant shores to start a chain reaction, inspire a movement, make a change. Now those kids on the shore, what have they got in their hands? Can you tell what that is? Tools, yeah. What kind of tools? What might they do with those tools? Yeah. Getting the island prepared for life with a shovel and a rake. Yeah. Did you want to add something? Shovel and rake, you saw that too. I am one, and I can take action. We're each one, and we can take action. One by one, we can make a difference. What do you suppose they're doing with those bricks? Because one is all it takes to start something beautiful. And you were right. What they did with those that shovel and rake, look at that beautiful green space. And that's the end of our story. So I hope you'll remember from this story that one person can do beautiful things and make a difference. Thank you. And now Mary Kay Peters has an 8th principle moment to share with us.
Actually, this is probably more of like a widening the circle or beloved community thing. But as we draw the circle wide and wider still, and acknowledge the presence of our Indigenous brothers and sisters around us, 2 things of note happened this past week. First, the Chief Big Elk sculpture made of clay was unveiled at Kaneko. And this piece will be cast in bronze and then placed at the Lewis and Clark Landing at the Missouri Riverfront. So we've had Rudy Mitchell, is that, come here to speak in the past when he's a descendant, trying to get that to happen, along with John Papon. So the second thing that happened was the bulldozing of trees and land at Snell Hill across the road from the sacred Inipi Sweat Lodge at Niskethi Salt Creek Fish Camp. And I think we talked about this last fall, the Niskethi Prayer Camp in Lincoln. It was done in preparation for the Wilderness Crossing development in Lincoln over the objections of the Indigenous community there. When Chief Big Elk returned home from a trip to Washington, D.C., his prophetic words warned of a coming flood of migration. The animals which Wakanda has given us for sustenance will disappear beneath the flood. Speak kindly to one another and do what you can to help each other. And these are the words of Chief Big Elk. Misfortunes will happen to the wisest of us and cannot always be prevented. I believe that a divine love operates in the human heart, and our work is to show up on behalf of that love, to imagine, as King spoke of, a beloved community where all people share in the wealth of the earth, all people care for the earth, and there is no hunger, poverty, or homelessness. Conflicts are inevitable, but resolved through a commitment to nonviolence and grounded in mutual respect for one another's dignity. This vision is possible in this life when a critical mass of people make a commitment. This is a courageous love with an underlying commitment to the beloved community. This is the expression of my faith. May we all join in together on this journey, not through sweeping giant changes, but through everyday acts of relationship and kindness to each other. Amen.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Each week, we practice the spiritual virtue of generosity by taking up a community offering. Half of the loose currency in the offering plate is donated to a local cause that resonates with UU values. If you're online or prefer to give via your smartphone, you can use the QR code or link provided. Our Share the Plate recipient for February is the Indigenous Council of Omaha, Nebraska, founded by John Papan, who introduced it here last week. The Council's mission is to promote equity and access for the Native American community in the Omaha, Nebraska area by providing advocacy and support. During the offering music, joys and concerns can also be put in the offering basket on a yellow card if you want something shared. And those online can put joys and concerns in the chat. And you can also grab a heart as they go around here in the sanctuary if you like. We'll gratefully receive the offering as we hear a special gift of music, this time from Liam. Thank you. That's Liam Richardson for that beautiful rendition of Danny Boy. It's time to share joys and concerns that anyone would like lifted up in community. We don't always feel moved to share them, but when you choose to do so, it can draw our community closer together. Again, those can be placed in the chat. Kyle Knapp says, I want to express my appreciation to First UU for hosting my concert there a few weeks ago and for the warm welcome I received from your congregation. Extra credit to everyone for braving the harsh weather to get there. Always such a joy, Kyle says, to perform in your beautiful sanctuary. Katrina Schmidt shares that son Anthony was hospitalized Friday with what may be an ulcer. Docs are still getting to the bottom of young Anthony's condition, so healing wishes and prayers for that family are welcome. We've also gotten word that longtime church member Judith Wright passed away peacefully on February 3rd. The family is planning a celebration of life for this summer, and that date will be announced later. Cards can be sent to Judith's daughter, Suzanne and Terrell. We'll include their addresses in the Joys and Concerns e-blast if you'd like to do that. What do we have online, Colin?
Colin, this one. No worries. From Cindy Nether saying my great aunt died yesterday from complications of COVID, so sending thoughts and prayers her way. From Katrina Schmidt, she says, join us for lunch today after church at Greek Islands. To say you're with First UU. Some people may need a ride, so please check with me. That's Colin McDonald. And coffee hour. Katrina also says that her son, Anthony, we spoke about, is stable and in the hospital and may be released today. So that's good news. And one from Mark Leskatoff saying sorrow for the people in Turkey and Syria. I also have a card here from Nellie saying, thank you for all the love and birthday wishes. My party was a big surprise and I never felt so loved. That's it.
Belated happy birthday, Nellie. Let's draw into our circle of care all who need love and support as we sing a centering song. We'll do number 1031 in the teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness. And you'll notice that the pronouns change. The first verse is I, the second verse is you, and the third verse is we.
May I
On the wings of this music, in this season of Valentine's, I share with you a love meditation. You may wish to check your posture, breathe from your Buddha belly, and rest your eyes as I share these words. This is from M. Jade Kaiser. Love cannot be bought or sold. It does not make a profit. Love does not hide from truth. Love dives deep. Love takes on flesh. Love is queer. Love is platonic. Love is erotic. Love is asexual. Love confronts evil. Love delights in pleasure. Love touches and weeps and flirts and feeds and creates. Love is risky. Love challenges systemic evil in all its forms. Love is simple, but not easy. Love is collective. Love rises up. Love apologizes. Love believes. Love corrects. Love holds accountable. Love pays reparations. Love heals. Love tells its story. Love embraces everyone, every creature, every creation. It knows us intimately. It holds us collectively. Love transcends every boundary that seeks to confine it. It will not tolerate violence in its name. It does no harm. It only sets free. Now a time of silence for your own loving kindness meditation. This morning, as we make the final turn in the spiral journey of our winter worship series, from the outer reaches of the cosmos to the ecology of the earth, and now to our own innermost being and potential, we will end with love. But first, I'll continue to lean on the latest science and its language. Now, if your body benefits from movement, we've got some squirmy kids, and I know there are squirmy adults out there too. I invite you, as you listen, to notice any phrase that signals to you something higher still. Maybe it's the word consciousness. That's what I'm going to do. Maybe it's the idea of evolution. Maybe it's when I quote scientists or when I quote mystics. Okay, so any word or type of communication that evokes something higher for you, if you feel this will be beneficial for you and not distracting, when you hear that, you can make a spiral with your hand. You could go like this, or you can do it like one finger on your palm like this. Or if you really like to move and you're not shy, you can sit up front and come do it with your whole body in front of us. Ready? You decided what you would do that for, a spiral, if you want to do that? Okay. Ervin Laszlo, whose integral theory of everything has been kind of a through line in this series, sums up the development of the universe this way. Quote, "The proto-consciousness that infuses the cosmos becomes localized and articulated as particles emerge from the vacuum of space and evolve into atoms and molecules. On life-bearing planets, the atoms and molecules evolve into cells, organisms, and ecologies. Through them, the consciousness that infuses the cosmos becomes more and more articulated." And here's the final turn of the spiral in Laszlo's words. "The human mind, associated with the remarkable evolved human brain, is the highest level articulation on this planet of the consciousness that, arising from the vacuum, pervades the cosmos." What I heard there is that human consciousness is the leading edge of cosmic evolution. Now I'm going to backtrack for a moment to that part about life-bearing planets. I glossed over something last week that I've learned is of particular interest to one or two folks here, the evolution of life, and the question of whether that process is random or, conversely, teleological. Scientists like Brian Schwemm and Amit Goswami, people with backgrounds in physics and cosmogony, have made compelling cases that a universe like ours could not have come about randomly. Rather, they suggest it has a direction or purpose. Scientists looking specifically at earthly evolution have made relevant observations too, including that evolution exhibits a pattern of punctuated equilibria. Now, as I remember it, this means that rather than a zillion equally tiny, equally spaced out random adaptations that got us from earthly ancestors to their evolutionary offspring of various species, instead of that, there are a much smaller number of big leaps that don't align to Darwin's theory of gradual and random natural selection. That makes sense if the quantum plenum, remember that's the sea of energy from which all arises, if the quantum plenum contains a record of all previous universes, and in a sense, can learn. In that case, as the universe learns, it could take shortcuts in the direction it wants to go, the evolution of life and consciousness. Well, back to the cosmic scale, consider this metaphor shared by Michael Nagler to underscore how unlikely it is that our universe would have developed by chance. If a monkey were to sit in front of a typewriter, banging on the keys long enough, it would type out the works of Shakespeare. Today, scientists can actually put a number to how long it would take the monkey to do this, roughly 1,000,000 billion years. But in only 137 billion years, not 1,000,000 billion, 137 billion, the universe has produced monkeys, typewriters, and Shakespeare. It seems to me when I hear something like that, there might have been some cosmic shortcuts. The Quantum Gravity Research Group wrote bluntly that there's no decent evidence for randomness in the universe. Pure chance, they say, does not appear to be a significant factor in the evolution of life. So let's go with this as a hypothetical for a bit. If the evolution of the cosmos is not happenstance, but as some kind of direction or purpose, what could that be? Maybe I'm biased, as one among earthly sentient beings whose consciousness is developed to a special degree, but the progression of consciousness itself to higher levels seems a likely candidate as the purpose of this universe. In this way of thinking, consciousness has always been here. But beings have evolved with increasingly more complex and creative forms of sentience. Has this process reached an endpoint? There's no reason to think so. People who are clearly ahead of their time, people like Jesus, Buddha, perhaps Gandhi, maybe they illuminate the way that could be ahead for our species. What if they show us the direction in which consciousness and human form is evolving? Are you with me so far? Okay, I must not have any squirmy people out there because I don't see anybody doing this. Drawing on the Hindu tradition, Yogananda put it in religious terms. If we take the Gita's view, the Bhagavad Gita, that God has become the world, he writes, and mind and matter belong to the same field, we get a much loftier view of evolution. The eons-long rise of consciousness from pure energy until the simplest form of life emerges and the struggle for increasing self-awareness begins. Well, back to the emerging science. Recall that energy and information are at least as real and fundamental to reality as this hard matter, this seemingly hard matter. Here's another way that Laszlo put it. Matter and mind are different aspects of the same reality. What we call matter is the aspect we apprehend when we look at a person, a plant, or a molecule from the outside. Mind is the aspect we obtain when we look at the same thing from the inside. So matter outside, mind inside. Notice that this is neither materialism, which says matter is what is most real, nor is it idealism, which says that ideas or the information field is the most real. Nor is it dualism, which says both matter and mind are real, but they're entirely different things. There's a fourth option that in this series I'm taking to be true. All things in the world, Laszlo explains, quanta and galaxies, molecules, cells, and organisms have materiality as well as interiority. Matter and mind are not separate, distinct realities. They are complementary aspects of the reality of the cosmos. You can't have one without the other. Other credible people have come to similar conclusions. Philosopher Alfred North Whitehead described early in the last century how all things have both a physical pole and a mental pole. Nobel laureate George Wald, a biologist, concluded that mind has always existed and is not a recent outcome of evolution, as the paradigm of materialism would have it. Apollo astronaut Edgar Mitchell acknowledges that all things have knowledge. Molecules, cells, plants, birds, in their own way, have a kind of knowledge. Mitchell writes, the higher forms of knowing, such as human awareness and intention, have their roots in the cosmos. They were there in potential at the birth of the universe. I'm going to pause here because these are some really big ideas. My mind is like this as I've been thinking about it. And I invite you to turn to a neighbor, or if you're at home alone, maybe grab a journal or a piece of paper and reflect on this idea of two complementary poles. This idea that all that we see, all entities from atoms to one another, have both material and mental or informational aspects. How does this strike you? I'll give you a minute or two to talk. Feel free to scooch next to someone if you're not already. All right, I imagine being a room full of many Unitarian Universalists that there are quite a few different opinions in this room. Well, suppose all of this is true. Here's the question that arises for me. What is the relationship between human consciousness and the cosmic consciousness, the void or plenum, which holds all the energy and information of the universe? Is there a connection between these two kinds of consciousness? The consciousness or mind associated with an individual human, like you or me, and the consciousness or mind underlying all reality. Psychiatrists and therapists have worked with patients in altered states of consciousness, finding that patients can record intuitions or impressions on the surface of the mind that they received in those altered states. Mitchell, the astronaut, reported a similar experience in outer space. In a higher state of consciousness, he says, we can enter into deep communication with the universe. In these states, the awareness of every cell of the body coherently resonates with what Mitchell identified as the holographically embedded information in the quantum zero-point energy field. He's talking about that quantum vacuum or plenum. So this goes back to the virtual sea of energy. You can call it a quantum vacuum or a quantum plenum because it's not actually empty. Not only do all material things originate from this virtual sea of energy and this understanding, they also leave traces of their experience in it. They create holograms from their experience that persist in the quantum plenum beyond their own lives. And that includes the experience of human beings. Now, Laszlo shares a scientific explanation. I followed most of what he said. I think he kind of lost me here, but it involves oscillations and wave fields that emanate from objects. Waves which create holographic patterns when they intersect. Now, once this information in the form of holographic patterns is generated, information from our experiences, it's forevermore part of this quantum plenum. This is the two-dimensional edge that holds the three-dimensional universe. Laszlo describes how channels of communication are created through something called phase conjugation. Now, I feel like a Star Trek engineer sharing Laszlo's explanation of phase conjugation. Captain, we've got a message, and it's quite odd. It seems to be coming from subspace. But this is not science fiction. A phase conjugation is, and I'm quoting, a pathway of non-local information transmission that is created across all different scales of organization, from the quantic bitty to the cosmic. Okay, so back to my question. Can a human mind connect to the cosmic mind? Well, Laszlo says yes, a human can attune to these patterns in the quantum plenum. Most of the time, what we access are the holograms created by our own experiences, the basis of long-term memory. But as Laszlo puts it, by entering altered states of consciousness in which our everyday rationality does not filter out what we can apprehend, we can open the roof to the sky. We can, in other words, go beyond our five senses, and through our intuition, directly access the quantum plenum and the information that is there. Laszlo writes, we access a broad range of information that links us to other people, to nature, and to the universe. So let's return to the theme of evolution and the last turn on our spiral, the evolution of human consciousness. Consider that since humans attained the physical form that we call Homo sapiens, our bodies haven't changed much. But over those same 30 or 50,000 years, our minds, our consciousness has evolved dramatically. This is the testimony of cultural anthropology. Various thinkers have described stages in the evolution of consciousness, from Sri Aurobindo, the Indian sage, and the American mystic Richard Buck, to intellectual Ken Wilber and the creators of spiral dynamics, if we have any spiral dynamics aficionados here. The common theme in this kind of thinking is that consciousness evolves beyond being bound by the ego, the I that our minds create. Evolves from this small, egocentric point of view, expanding into transpersonal awareness, beyond myself, beyond the I. If you've ever had moments of feeling your sense of self fall away, feel that you melt into the trees or into your beloved, or feel that you are a part of everything and everything is a part of you, and how could there be a you apart from everything? If you've had an experience like that, you've had a glimpse of this. When transpersonal consciousness, with transpersonal consciousness, we may be able to access and use information from the quantum plenum, from this underlying reality that most people today are not regularly tapping into. Laszlo writes, if humankind does not destroy its life-supporting environment and decimate its numbers, the dominant consciousness of the critical mass of people will evolve from the ego-bound to the transpersonal stage. And this quantum leap in the evolution of consciousness will catalyze a quantum leap in the evolution of civilization as well. So if we can continue this consciousness evolution, spiritual evolution, there could be a shift in how we function collectively. Another question this framework may raise is whether the cosmos itself is conscious. Does this information lie dormant in fragments in the quantum plenum, where perhaps human beings or other evolved beings can tap into it? Or is this sum total of accumulated experience of all reality recorded in the quantum plenum and these holograms? Is all of that coherent? Is it a whole greater than the sum of all of its little informational bits? In other words, does the cosmos itself have a grand consciousness? You may have your own view about that. Mystics of many stripes have asserted that the cosmos itself is conscious. Emerson, from our own tradition, called it the oversoul. Philosophers like Whitehead and more than a few scientists have made similar statements. Sir Arthur Eddington said, "The stuff of the universe is mind stuff, the source and condition of physical reality. As for Ervin Laszlo, proponent of an integral theory of everything, he concludes, quote, "The vacuum is not only the seat of a super-dense energy field from which spring the wave packets we call matter, but also a cosmically extended proto or root consciousness." Although one can infer, I think, such a reality from what we are able to observe directly, Laszlo suggests that this idea of a cosmic or root consciousness is condemned to remain hypothetical, in scientific terms anyway, because we cannot directly observe it. But then again, many people studied in altered states of awareness report experiencing a kind of consciousness that seems to belong to the universe itself. So found researcher Stanislav Grof. Individuals who particularly pursue such an experience, often as part of a spiritual quest, describe the ultimate state in remarkably similar terms: as an immense and unfathomable field of consciousness endowed with infinite intelligence and creative power, as Laszlo sums it. Now remember, this field of cosmic consciousness is both an empty void and an essential fullness. All of this matches up quite nicely to the pure consciousness underlying all reality that is outlined by the Vedic tradition of India. While they do not look like ordinary scientific instruments, mystics communing with the ultimate kind of are the instrument that's available to us to test this theory of cosmic consciousness. And they confirm it. Here's where we circle back to love. If we all come from the same root consciousness, if we all can tap into it, especially as we develop our capacities and continue to evolve, then that oneness shown in our story for all ages is not just a fairy tale for children. It is our deepest reality. And it is where our species is headed next in our evolution, if we live long enough to get there. Consider the part of us that is animal, and thus has a deep instinct for self-preservation. And remember that as tribal mammals and as evolving spiritual beings, we have a corresponding capacity for self-sacrifice, too. We can transcend our ego-bound, self-centered perspective and act for the good of the whole, our whole family, our whole community, our whole earth. This is a power that Gandhi called nonviolence, or ahimsa. The Sanskrit can be translated into English as soul force, love force, or truth force. Because the truth of who we really are at the level of mind or soul is that we're all deeply interconnected. Our separateness is an illusion of our physical bodies and the senses that we mostly use to perceive reality. When we break through this illusion of separateness, as the force of love can bring us to do, regardless of our concepts about reality, people can make great sacrifices for the benefit of all. One of my Soul Force mentors, Michael Nagler, says that our goal as a people is to make such sacrifices unnecessary through the reordering of society along the lines of this better awareness of who we are. When we discover our inner resources, Nagler says, it becomes unnecessary to exploit the earth for its resources. When we discover our spiritual unity, that exploitation becomes not just unnecessary, but impossible. Indeed, doing what we can to help others, for example, by using nonviolence when we have to resist their injustices, brings us a fulfillment that nothing else can match. When I look at the arc of evolution, including our spiritual evolution or the continued development of human consciousness, I see nonviolence, whose other name is love, as the key. We can do a lot when we work together in a community rooted in love, a community like this one. But one person is all it takes, as our story for all ages expressed. One is enough to start waves that will forevermore echo through the quantum plenum and through the collective consciousness of humanity. I invite you to rest your eyes, if you'd like to do so, and make your body comfortable as I close with another Valentine's Day love meditation from M. Jade Kaiser. And we'll again hold a time of silent loving kindness after. Resist the nonsense that narrows and abuses and individualizes and profits off of love. Love your friends, love your people, love collectively. Love justice, love truth. Love your body. Love the soil and the air and the water. Love wisdom. Love the earthy, creaturely, planetary. Love queerly. Love vulnerably. Love deep. Love by respecting boundaries. Love by growing. Love through risk. Love through solidarity. Love through mutual aid and redistribution. Love by listening. Love by paying attention. Love by holding accountable and inviting accountability. Love strangers. Love by encouraging. Love generously. In whatever ways practices of love are discouraged by forces of dominance, ways that threaten their stability and make possible collective flourishing, love those ways the most. I invite you to rise if you like and join in our closing hymn number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
We are blessed with love.
Go knowing yourself to be a precious and powerful and evolving part of our cosmos. May it be so. Amen.